Hey guys, this is Sam from deep south of Orlando. Today we're not in the garage, we're in the driveway to change the ABS booster brake pump on the LX. It has failed and it's now time to change it, so I don't think it's very complicated. Stay tuned. Right, so this is the bad boy right here. This is what has failed. It starts giving you warnings by all your lights on the dash coming on, ABS, so on and so forth. And then there is a noise in the pump itself that you can hear very loudly. And then it goes away. And then you think everything is fine. The car being 22 years old, blah, 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 you know. Will not happen to me, blah, blah, blah. Well, it does, and eventually it fails. And when it fails, you have no brakes. So, I believe Lexus / Toyota still makes brand new units. I believe they want about $1,200 to $1,300 for a brand new unit. That's not in the cards for me. Not to mention the fact that they probably want another $1,000 to put it in. So, there is this gentleman on the UZJ100 Facebook page called Andy Lee, and he rebuilds those. And you end up paying $600. It's $800 plus $200 core charge. So if you're lucky and he has a unit available for you, he ships it out to you. You pay $800. You take this one, you do the swap, you send back your old unit, and he gives you $200 back. So this is what we're going to do today. Couple of words of preparation. Here is the rebuilt unit sitting on the makeshift bench at the house. And a couple of things that I've watched a couple of videos, and apparently you need to, one, depressurize the brake booster unit. And you do this by inserting the key in, but don't turn the car in the accessory mode, because the moment you power the car, you then pressurize the pump. So you put the key in the ignition, don't turn anything, and then you press the pedal 30 to 40 times until it just hits the floor, and that's when the pressure is taken out of the pump. Step 2, take the battery out of the equation. I like to wrap my terminal with a glove so nothing can touch and no more juice is into the car. Step 3, take the fluid out of the old reservoir. You will discard that fluid. It's no good. You can take as much as you can. You can use a bulb syringe, a syringe. I'm lucky enough to have one of these guys, so I will make the job easier. Basically, you take all the fluid out. You're going to take the evap can out, which will allow you to have way more room to work this out of the car. So this is what we're going to do now. Be careful with the various connectors. They become very brittle with age and the heat that's going on under the hood nonstop. So take your time, label those vacuum lines if you need to, although with age they sort of have a natural shape and they fall back in place. Couple of I think 12 mil bolts on either side, right here and right here, and that sucker will pop right up. I don't have my tripod, so I'm telling you what to do. I'm not going to show you how to do it because unfortunately I can't do this one-handed. But step number 4, after you've taken the fluid out, is take the evap can out. So I'm going to do that and then I'll show you. All right guys, the evap canister is out. So like I said, be careful of these little connectors right here. There's only one screw right here, 12 millimeter, and then this slides into a holder. I had to put a little bit of brake cleaner to break that loose. Obviously it's been in the car for 20 years, and so it got a little jammed up in there with some good old Utah dirt. but it comes out pretty easily, all big, one unit. And so when is out of the car, you have a lot more room to start accessing the brake line, so on and so forth. So I tucked in the connectors right here. I took another step that I like to take is I took photos of all the vacuum lines. I take photos of everything before I start, so I can always go back to the photos when I put things back together. So the next step is to empty the brake fluid inside this canister. And the reason why you want to do that is because brake fluid is extremely corrosive to paint. So you want to minimize the amount of brake fluid that you're going to put. Hopefully spill not too much in and around the car. You're going to have to shove a bunch of microfiber towels or whatever to catch the excess as it comes out. I have depressurized my pump, so it should be good to go. I want to remove the fluid using my fluid extractor here, which is basically a vacuum, and getting most of the fluid out of the reservoir. I'm not going to get all of it because there's kind of like a filter in there that it's kind of hard to actually go and collect all there is. There's a little opening, I don't know if you can see, and I can sort of squeeze the tube in there to go fetch most of it at the bottom, but I'm not going to be able to get all of it. So that's okay. You want to remove as much as you can to minimize the spillage once you start disconnecting everything. So now I'm going to remove these brake lines. So my car is a 2000 LX, and so it has whatever you call that, the creep control, and it has 4 brake lines. So 2 on this side and 2 in the front. I'm going to use a 10mm flange nut wrench to remove those, and then we'll be done with that. So I've taken most of the fluid out. You can see a little bit remain at the bottom, but you can't go fetch this because there is a filter inside. So I'm going to disconnect the various connectors. One big right here, one right here, another one right here, and this one right here as well, and then this one. Be very careful, those are become brittle over age, and so I use this little pig to sort of go under and gently pry those out. I have an additional fuse box which is unfortunately kind of in the way, so I am going to remove that and put it on the side so I can have access to the side of these connectors there, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to remove them. So I'll go ahead and move that extra fuse box / relay out of the way, and then I'll access this. Okay, so I've taken that extra relay fuse box, which drives all my lights and everything else out of the way. The beauty of zip ties, I kind of fixed that here. So now, as you can see, you're exposing the big connectors to the actual brake booster. So you have a big one here, then a medium one. They're all different sizes, and so I will take photos, because I always take photos of things that I disconnect, but I don't think you can really mess them up putting them back. But you have to be very gentle when you disconnect them because they are very brittle. Obviously never pull the connector by the cable, because you will invariably de-pin them, meaning pulling the wire straight out of the pin, and then you have a whole bunch of mess on your hand. So be very careful. Try to insert a little pick if you have. I have these little guys here, and so you can sort of insert the pick inside to lift that part. To lift this part. You're supposed to press on them and then pull, but they become really brittle, and so I like to go from the inside, sort of gently lift that part as I wiggle the connector loose. So I'm going to do that for all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will be free, and then I'll move on to disconnecting the lines from the main pump. So here you go, case in point. This is a little retaining part of this connector. It goes inside, and I'm super careful to pull it out, and I think it broke or it came apart. So we're gonna deal with that once I reassemble the new one, but that's what you need to be super careful. I'm gonna put in my tray right here for now. So all the connectors are out. I'm going to move on. There is that's a vacuum hose for the evap. I'm gonna make sure that everything that I have to remove. So basically these two lines right here, and then these two lines right here. And I believe that is the only thing that needs to be removed from the engine bay. After that, we have to go inside the car. So let's go ahead and remove these lines. I'm gonna cap them off the best I can, again, so no fluid leaks. And then we're gonna move on to the inside of the car. So here you go. I removed one of the lines, came out really easily. I'm using a 10mm flange nut wrench, which is great, has lots of surfaces, plenty wide, so when you put it on, it just doesn't come off. You slide it on like this, and then you turn it, which is awesome. Now I want to cap the end of these lines so nothing gets in there. I don't have those little, at the shop I have those little vacuum hose plugs, which I use often, but here I don't in the driveway. So what I do have, and I have spare gloves, I'm gonna cut the tips, and here you go, flipping you off, haha. I'm gonna cut the tips off, and then I'll slip those over and then put a little zip tie so nothing will move in. But so 1, 2, 3, the bird, 4, and we'll be good to go. There you go. This is how I'm going to make sure that nothing gets into the brake line while I'm swapping. Put a little glove tip and then putting a zip tie, and we're good to go. So I'm going to move on and do the rest of it now. All right, so we have taken all the lines out. I have capped them with my little glove finger ends with zip ties. I've also put the red caps that come on the remanufactured brake booster inside, so prevents any further leaking from the pump itself, which is nice. And now we're going to move on the inside of the car and start removing the pin that is at the end of the, basically, let me show you on this new pump. This is what goes through the firewall. There is a gasket. I have a new one. If you do this job, go ahead and buy a new gasket, because the original one is going to be 20+ years old, so it's $9 on the internet, so that's not a big deal. And then basically you have a pin here. You have a pin that goes through it at the end of the brake pedal assembly, and then a pin this way. You have to remove these 4 bolts, 13 mils, and they can be quite hard to access from the inside. I watched a video where the guy actually takes some of the dash, or at least a cross member for the AC vents, out under the steering column, but I'm not going to do that. I have another friend, Patch, Cruiser Patch, who actually does it without removing it, and it's fine. Just gotta wiggle your way and get creative with the extension and the wobble sockets and so on. That's why I have these. We should be able to figure out our way with that. So without further ado, let's get inside the car and remove that. Then we'll yank the old unit. One thing that I wanted to mention is this entire unit is probably worth, I would imagine, 25 to 30 pounds. So wrestling it out of the car will take a little bit of effort. I have AHC, so I have sat the LX down completely, which is nice. Gives you like 2 or 3 inches of more room. I'm not super tall, 5'9", so I'm able to bend over the truck quite easily, but removing the old assembly, like I said, is 25 to 30 pounds, so we'll see how that goes. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is the inside of the car. We have to go under right there and fetch. You can see one of the screws right there. we have to go fetch these screws. So I'm gonna go ahead. I know I said I wasn't gonna remove some of the trim, but I am. This one is really easy to come out. You pop this sucker right here. This comes on around the ignition really easily. Remove the Molex, then you expose a couple of screws. You take that whole back panel down. It's kind of a pain because you're gonna have these that are still attached. I may or may not remove them, we'll see. But having this panel out will give me a better shot at the underneath of the car. So let's go ahead. So we are inside of the car. I've removed the lower trim panel. This can be pretty intimidating, but this is easy to do. They have two holes right here for screws that screw into the panel. You remove these and then you can free both the gas strap and the hood release latches. So when that's out of the way, we're gonna see how we take the brake booster assembly from the firewall. Now, I did make one mistake, is I parked too close to my gate. Can't open the car that deep, so I'm gonna have to shimmy my way inside the car with the door constantly wanting to close on me. What a pain in the butt. But that is what it is. I cannot move the car, I cannot start the car because obviously everything is disconnected and it's gonna start spewing everywhere, repressurize the pump, so on and so forth. So I'm not doing that. I'm going to shimmy my way in there, and we're gonna take a look at where this needs to be disconnected. So yeah, so I don't know if you can see right here, but basically, let me try to put that light here. Right, so that pin that you see right there is where we need to disconnect. And then the 4 bolts are right there. 1, 2, and then 3, 4 on the other side of that actuator. So we're gonna do that. I'm not gonna show that on camera because I only have 2 hands. One is holding the light, the other one the camera. So I have to be creative. I've heard that this pin has a little retainer clip on the other side that can be a pain in the butt to remove. So take your time, don't lose any parts. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove the control module with 2 screws, 10 millimeters right here and right there. Get that out of the way. It will give me clear access on the left side of the brake pedal, and that will allow me to remove that little pin. So we're gonna do that right now. It's kind of tricky, it's way up there, but extensions and articulated and extensions should do the job. Hey guys, so this is the little pin, came out from right there, and then I'm gonna push that other pin through the pedal and it should be good. Also removing the ECU, or one of them, I guess it's the brake controller, and I think it's the main ECU actually. Allows me to have clear view of the left side of these 12 millimeter bolts, so that's going to be pretty easy to remove from here on end. I will do that, get that whole unit out of the way, and we'll continue on. Thanks for following along. All right guys, so with a little creativity, some wobble sockets, some articulated ones, we were able to remove the bolts that are right up in there. I don't know if you see them. Yeah, right there. You see the studs. So that is free to come out now. The pin is off. The end of the brake booster shaft. I will show you how it connects on the new one before I put it in. But for now, we're going to go ahead and yank the old unit out of the engine compartment. So let's go. And by the way, you really need to be limber to do this, because you do have to do what we called mechanics yoga. All right, so as you can see, the brake booster is now free, so we're gonna go ahead and remove it. All right, guys, well, with a good bit of effort, the pain in the ass is those hard brake lines obviously get in the way of you yanking everything out, but it's out. Maybe clean a little bit around. This is the firewall. Let me show you the old unit out of the truck. So this is the old unit. This is the gasket that I was talking to you about. I mean, to be honest, this one is in really good shape, so I may just I have a new one. I don't think I need a new one. I think I just need to put this one back on. Yeah, I think I may just put that gasket back on. There's no need to use the new one. It's in perfectly good shape. So that's the old unit, that's the new unit. So yeah, this pin right there is, let me show it to you. So this is the little pin assembly. The pedal slides in there around this, and then you put this pin through it, and then this little retaining clip goes on. Honestly, with the ECU out on the left side of the pedal, you have quite a bit of access, so that went out really easily. So now it's basically the reverse order. So we're gonna put everything back in place, tighten everything, tighten the brake lines, and then we're gonna move on to the actual bleeding of the brakes. Some people use TechStream. I don't have TechStream, but I've also heard that you can do it fine without it. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the old unit back on, tighten it, put the evap canister back on, plug everything back in, put the trim back in the car, and then once that's done, we're gonna fill the reservoir, turn the car on, let the pump prime itself for 60 to 90 seconds, put some more fluid, do it again 2 or 3 times. And then after that, we'll move on to bleeding the 4 corners the manual way, basically, with a little bleeder type little bottle here. And we'll go around the 4 corner. I'm gonna have to wait for my wife to be back because I don't have a pump, a vacuum pump or a pressure pump to do it myself. So we're gonna wait for the wife to be back, and she'll help me bleed the brakes, and we should be good to go. So let's start putting the beast back together. All right, so we put the new brake booster in. Now we're going to reconnect the lines, reconnect all the electrical, put the evap canister back in, reconnect the vacuum lines, so on and so forth. Make sure that everything is back where it needs to be here. Then we're gonna move on and put the trim back into the car, and we should be ready to fill it up. All right, guys, so I'm gonna show you that the pin. All right, so you're gonna be able to see it right here. Let's see. Let's see. No, it's over there. Let's see. Right there. All right, you can see the pin right there going through the actual brake pedal and then through the end of the brake booster shaft. Then you put that pin through, and then that little cotter pin basically is securing it so it doesn't slip. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's not that hard once you have everything removed. Take your time. So now I'm going to, I torqued all these bolts. You can see one right there at the top, and then another one right there, right here, and then right there. So you have 4 12 mil bolts, sorry. So you have to use like a combination of wobble and articulated socket extension to go get those, but it's not that hard. So now we're gonna reattach the ECU right here, and then we're gonna start putting the trim back together. All right, so I've put the electrical connection back on, and now I'm about to reconnect the brake lines. So evidently, the one thing that you absolutely want to make sure of is that you don't cross thread this. And so you want to make sure that they go in very, very freely. It's a little unnerving because sometimes the threads on the new unit or the reconditioned unit they're not exactly the same, or you know, the hoses don't fit exactly the same, so there's like a little bit of pressure. But you want to take your time and do not cross thread these. So I'm just going to take my time, slowly put them in. Obviously they have memory, so you can't really mess them up. Yeah, you want to take your time. And then in terms of the torque, it's really not the pressure fitted at the bottom. Right here you can see it's a little cone that will apply at the end of the inside, at the end of the thread, and then the pressure, once you tighten it, will keep it tight. So you're going to put it in, and then I'm going to slowly work these threads in, making sure that they're not cross-threaded. I'm going to do all 4, and then I'm going to move on to putting the evap can back on. So on the subject of threading, I'd rather put a little bit of pressure on the line and sort of like, not bend them, but, you know, sort of work it enough to where this connection is really well, and I can basically thread the nut by hand. Then I know it's not cross-threaded. So I'd rather put a little bit of pressure on this than trying to fit it in and then have this cross-threaded. Now, in the subject of torque, evidently you can't put a torque wrench on there because that's an open wrench like this. It's called a flare nut wrench. So basically what I do is I bring it tight, and then I just give it a little bit of something. It's very a feel type deal. You're threading into an aluminum body, a steel nut, so you have no room for error. You're going to rip it. And if you try to put too much torque, you don't want to put too little torque, because obviously you may run the risk of it leaking. But my preferred method, again, is bringing it tight, and then I put a little bit of pressure back on. So tight plus, I want to say like 1/8 of a turn, just to tighten it, to torque it. That's what I do. Again, I'm not a professional mechanic, but I've done enough that I think I'm doing it right. Please feel free to comment in the comment section below if you think I'm doing something wrong. But I don't believe there is torque wrench that will allow you to do that on the with a flare nut like this. Onward we go. Okay guys, so I have the 4 brake lines reconnected. So early on in the video, I didn't quite remember what it was called, but it's A-Track. Obviously my Lexus is a 2000. I have A-Track, and I think when you have A-Track, you have 4 brake lines, because obviously the A-Track system is in charge of locking each individual wheel as it spins to make up for the loss of traction. So it needs access to all 4 lines. I think the vehicles that do not have A-Track only have 3 brake lines, one front, one for the front left, front right, and then they share the rear one, I believe. Again, if I'm incorrect, please add some comments in the comment section to help others. But we're going to put the evap canister back in, and then we'll be done up front. Have the evap canister back in. It slides right here. Then there is one 12mm bolt right here, and that's it. I've reconnected all the vacuum lines, 1, 2, 3, and then this little one here that snakes around on the side of the fan. So we have that, the electrical connection right here, and there's one right here. Oh yeah, and then one right here. Those are in place. I've reconnected my additional relay fuse box. I've checked all the connections here. This one is This one is kind of a pain to get, and that's the one that's broken, but it fits pretty tight, so it should be okay. Everything is back in. The brake lines are pinned or attached together. They're tight. I've torqued them to what I feel comfortable with. So yeah, you may be telling yourself, God, Dolly, this engine is dirty. Yeah, it's dirty because guess what? I used the truck. And all this red mud that you see is good old clay from Utah from my last trip. And, you know, it works. I dust it once in a while, but I don't feel the need to induce any shorting by pressure washing it. So it works for me. It may not be clean enough for you, but for me, it's plenty clean. So now we're going to move on to the inside, reconnecting all the trim panels. Then I will fill this up with some, and we will let the pump prime, do it a couple of times, and then I will call my lovely wife to help me, and she will be inside the cab while I bleed the 4 corners, and then we should be back in business. Okay, so we have the reservoir filled with .3 brake fluid, and the protocol that we're going to do is we have reconnected the battery for starters. The protocol is, sorry about this guys, but I have to go voiceover because I messed up in the instructions that I was giving you on the video, and I wanted to make sure that I give you the right instructions, obviously. So I have included the protocol step by step in the description of this video. Please follow the instructions and you should be good to go. It's not overly complicated. However, you need to be patient and follow the steps precisely, and everything will work out. Hi guys, well, the actual brake booster swap job is done. Feels really good. I followed the protocol to bleed the brakes and prime the pump back up, and it's working out great. So yeah, it's awesome. All in, and I am in about $700, no, $800, and I'm gonna get $200 for the core back, so that's going to be a really good deal. Considering that a brand new unit I think fetches like $1,600, and I guess the dealer will tuck on another $1,000 probably to put it on, I would imagine. So yeah, quite a bit of savings, and the truck feels great. The brake pedal has no slop at all. It's really awesome. So yeah, the whole job took about 3 hours, which is including lunch. So probably you could do it in, I guess, a couple of hours, maybe 2.5 hours. I took my time. I didn't want to hurt anything, so I was very meticulous about not putting brake fluid anywhere. And then my wife helped me bleed the brakes, which took about 20 minutes or so, all 4 corners, and that's it. So yeah, all in all, it's a great job. Thanks to Andy Lee on UZJ100 Facebook group. He rebuilt these, and they have a 1-year warranty, so that's awesome. And yeah, I'm super stoked. I can't wait to put this truck back in on the trails. So thanks again for following along. I hope that you found this video useful. Give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. I put out some videos on various things, mainly mods that I do on the LX, as well as some travel. And I will catch you up on the next one. Peace.